Blessings and shalom to everybody out there. Welcome to Prophecy Talk. This is Dr. Keefa Ben Israel, um, Archbishop in our Lord's Church, Chief Apostle, and Major Prophet into the body of Messiah. Very proud to be who I am and what I am. I know a lot of people out there say, well, there's no such thing as an archbishop in the church. There's no such thing as a chief apostle. There's no such thing as a major prophet. You know, a lot of people say a lot of different things for whatever reason that they say it. And I respect that. More power to them. I just know who I am. Prophecy Talk is sponsored by Kingdom Building Institute and Keefa Ben Israel Ministries. Both are entities that I serve as overseer and founder of. And for the reasons above, I'm just praising him for that. In that, I want to get into a discussion today. I'm very disappointed. I very rarely show my emotions or my feelings, especially in the public, with all the things that are going forward in this society, this world, and all the different, roles and all this other stuff that people think they play and so on like that. We're in a very political world. Racism has come back up on an all-time high. We've had politicians, local people, people that of somewhat importance and somewhat of non-importance try to downplay what we're seeing out here. So I want to get deep and personal, talk about me today. I can't talk about anybody else out there and what they do. First of all, I want to give a shout out to everybody that has supported me in ministry for many years. Not only ministry, but people that have supported me personally for many, many years. There are several people, too many people that I know that I dare not try to call their name out because it's just so many of you out there that have been true to the game. And then there's so many of you out there that were true in the beginning, but you wound up stabbing me in the back and turning me upside down. You even went as far as to lie on me, which is a normal thing for ministry. It took me a long time to understand that in ministry, you're going to be lied on. You're going to be talked about. You're going to be thrown every which way but right. Different scandals, rumors, and especially when people cannot get into your personal life or into your personal persona, they will create imaginary situations. And I say that really strongly because I've heard a lot that has come my way. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you're kind of like clueless to it, maybe sit back, relax, and listen, and you'll learn something today about a little bit about character. But it's time for me to speak up. It's past time for me to speak up. I've been through some bad marriages, yes, in plural marriages, and I dare not say how many marriages I've been in because that's not important. What is important is that I have been married more than one time. And because of the lack of not knowing anything about life, those marriages didn't work. Can't point the finger at anyone. And I dare not point the finger at anyone because at any given time, it could have been any one of our faults, any of my exes. It could have been any one of their faults or my fault. But the point is that we were not in position to be married. And I myself thought that I was doing the honorable thing by marrying and not shacking. It's always been my policy not to live with somebody and live off of somebody. That's something I've never done in my entire life. And I would advise any young man or even old man that's listening to me, get your own, do your own thing. Don't live off of a woman because that's one of the worst things that you can do. I mean, if she's a good woman and she wants to help and take care of you and so on like that, which is great. But you still want to be able to have a sense of your own responsibility, your sense of your own thing. You don't want to have to answer to anybody, because I don't believe that the man was constructed to follow the woman. I believe that the woman wants to follow the man, and she wants to follow a man that's complete, that knows what he wants, how he wants it, and where he's going with it. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. You know, a lot of people equate money in that. You can have money and still be dumb as a box of rocks. You can have money and still be misguided and be misdirected in any way, shape, and form. All that is a very known fact. You can have all of the pluses on the financial side and still be mentally unstable. And up until recently, I just found out that there's a lot of mentally unstable people that are professing Christ, Yahusha, whatever. There's a lot of mentally unstable people. And the reason why I know they're mentally unstable, because their moods change, their allegiances change, they have no loyalty whatsoever. They have a what's the word I'm looking for? They have a sense of I don't know. They just have a sense of disloyalty and disunity, and they come at people, any old kind of way. I've had a lot of people come through ministry. Mind you, I've been doing ministry probably since the mid 80s into the late 80s up until now. I never give exact numbers, because people are always trying to remember certain things, to add up stuff, to equate, to try to use that against you. So I never give precise numbers, and that's purposely done. But when I first started ministry, of course, when I first started preaching, I preached in a non-denominational church. I never forget it. It was on an Easter Sunday that I preached my very first sermon. And it was not because of I was ready to preach. I was just told to preach. And the church that I was dealing with, they didn't really give me an opportunity to prepare. They just said, go preach. And it was quite the experience. All I can remember, I could not tell you to this day the message that I preached or how I preached it. All I know is that I was going crazy, on top of chairs, dancing everywhere. Next thing you know, people were getting healed, set free, and delivered. Now, mind you, that's from a person of inexperience. I didn't have experience in that area, so I didn't know what I know now. If I would have known what I knew now, I look back on that particular situation, and I just say to myself, there's a lot of things that I probably could have done and probably would have done. And I think that goes for anybody in life, because when we go back on our situations in life and the way things have panned out or the way things have turned out, I think everybody would like to get a script to try it over again, But in my case, the only thing I probably would have changed was maybe my presentation, and that's it. Other than that, all the stuff that happened is what happens now on a regular with me. So there's not too much change. When I was coming up in ministry, I was fortunate enough to be around a lot of deliverance preachers, quite a few fivefold ministers, people that associated with the fivefold ministry. Now, this is before I found out that there really is no such thing as a fivefold ministry. They're just ministry gifts, according to Ephesians 4:11. I was associated with a lot of people that had what we would call a lot of power, that operated in full operation of their giftings. So I had the opportunity to be around some I consider to be some of the greatest miracle crusades and some of the greatest signs and depictions of history, in my opinion. Now, mind you, I was a Southern boy, so I had never been to a lot of different things. Growing up in my very early age, I was very familiar with the TV evangelists such as Ernest Angley and Billy Graham, especially because Billy Graham was a regular in our household as far as watching on television, so on like that. I believe he was a regular with a lot of people, especially black folks, because a lot of black folks supported Billy Graham, the earlier version of Billy Graham, the 1970s, the so on like that, the 80s and whatever, Billy Graham. So in my household, we grew up with that. We grew up on the music of the Hawkins family. We were very big into Walter Hawkins and Love Alive. You know, those were the albums that the Love Centered Choir out of Oakland, California did. And we got a chance to hear Tremaine Hawkins. We got a chance to hear Edwin Hawkins, Walter Hawkins, Daryl Coley. You know, those were some of the my inspirations growing up. Andre Crouch was definitely an inspiration to me growing up. I listened to that stuff, and it was really intense. It was intense. Now, no matter how wrong the doctrine may have been, which later on in life I found out that there were so many flaws in the Christian doctrine and so many miscues with the King James Bible and so on like that. Of course, I didn't know that then. But I know this stuff now, so I can, you know, I'm legally able to teach a lot of different things now. But and on those days, you know, you had the PTL Club. Jim and Tammy Baker was very popular in those days. You had so many different TV evangelists. I can remember E.V. Hill out of California. Baptist preacher, very powerful Baptist preacher that was consistently on TBN, and he was preaching to deliverance. And I'm here to tell you, it was you didn't have to have a personal invitation to hear in this man's preaching. It was just the inspiration of his preaching alone, because he was preaching the gospel. It was tremendous, and it was awesome. You know, I can remember those days, and people were together in those days, and we had one mission, which was to preach the gospel and to set the captives free. Coming back up into my growing days, I came in contact with Dr. Bill Hammond, Bishop Bill Hammond, if you will, the leader of the Christian International in Sarasota, Florida. And that was the first time in my entire life that I came in contact with the ministry gifts, as far as the operation of the ministry gifts. Dr. Hammond had several books out, and he was doing several conferences and what they call one-on-one prophecy, you know, personal prophecy. That's what they called it, because one of his books was Personal Prophecies, Pitfalls, and something else. I forget what else. But Dr. Bill Hammond was a tremendous inspiration into me becoming nosy into the spiritual side of things, because I already knew the church side. I want y'all to hear me when I say that. I already knew the church side. So coming into the spiritual side of things, it was a tremendous revelatory thing. And then later in life, of course, I came actually into the physical being of being in Jerusalem, and was introduced to several books that I never saw in the Bible. I never saw these books in the Bible whatsoever. So I went into a tremendous study in Jerusalem for almost 2.5 years to find all the information that I could find. Now, I'm not going to go through a whole lethargy of my life or anything like that, but let's just say I came into my own. And I learned some things. And then when I came back to the United States, which was several years later, because I lived in various places such as Italy and Turkey and Spain. And so I was very intrigued about the American perspective, because I had learned these perspectives from overseas. And I was wanting to learn even the more about what I had been expounded into. And a lot of it, which at that time I was not calling it the Hebrew roots. Later in my life and in my ministry career, I called it the Hebrew roots. I purposely named it that. Didn't know that there was an actual movement called the Hebrew roots. But I know that for myself, I had named it that because I had found out truth and the essence and the core of truth, which was very rare. Being raised up in a Baptist style church and Baptist churches, Methodist churches, et cetera, et cetera, you get part of the story, but you didn't get the whole story. Most of the ministers and the pastors that you came in contact with had been seminary trained or educationally prepared. And for a long time in my Pentecostal experience, it was a normal thing for us to trash people with educational knowledge. It was a very normal thing for that to happen. It was also a normal thing to come in contact with people of the opposite sex also. And when you're a young, up and coming, aspiring preacher, and mind you, it was something that I did not anticipate becoming or wanting to be. You meet a lot of people and you very rarely even have sexual desires on your mind when you meet these people because you come from a place of purity. So you're not expecting anyone around you to be unpure or to have ill intentions coming at you in whichever way it is. Now, you can call it an excuse, or you can say what you want to say, but you are the atmosphere and the environment that you come from. And if you don't come from an environment that is fast filled and filled with sex, drugs, and money, then you're not going to act in that manner. So I never acted in that manner. That was not the background I came from. My parents were very stable-minded people, so they never introduced that type of life to us. Myself, and my siblings, we never were introduced to that. All of the things that we were introduced to, we were introduced to it after we left home. But while we were in the home, we were not exposed to a lot of different things. Now, again, I'm not here to talk about my whole life story. I'm trying to drive a point to what I want you guys to understand here. And coming into those things, I was blessed to get the opportunity that most ministers do not have, and that is the pure revelation of word. I was blessed to be able to be selected by the Most High to understand his word. Somebody better hear what I'm saying to you. There was revelatory truths that was given to me that were not given to other people. There were definitions of words that only the Spirit could have given me. Even though I did formally go and get trained, and I advise any minister, if you want to be an effective warrior for the Most High, always go get trained. Do not shun the opportunity of training, because training that's what's going to make you. That's what's going to make you. In the depiction of that, learning exegy, which exegy means to explain a verse and give the content of the verse and not sway off of that content of the verse. So I learned that. I learned how to give a homily, which is more like a message or a sermon per se. I learned how to give the depiction of things. I learned how to do a thesis, such as, with my doctorate. I learned how to write on specific things and to expound into those things exclusively to give a better definition as to what the Spirit of Yah is saying. These are some important things that we need. Nobody just all of a sudden woke up, and let me take that back. A lot of people wake up and say, the Lord said for me to pastor a church. And you're getting that from the input of teaching that has been availed to you in your lifetime. Because whatever's been taught to you in your lifetime, your subconscious likes to grab a hold to that and build upon that. And a lot of times your subconscious is grabbed on to things that are in error. And one of the hardest things that we do in gospel ministry is to backtrack on the things that we have said, taught, and express to people and apologize about it and say I was wrong and then correct it. That's something that we don't like to do. I had the privilege as to come in contact with a group of people on several different. I had no idea that there was several of them, but there are. I came into a group of people called the Hebrew Israelites. Nice people, informational people, but very misled. Very misled. Some things that they talk about are very factual, and you can prove them by the substantial evidence in the Word. So their foundation is solid, but a lot of their information is misleading and not factual and very out of date and very fleshly. For example, the leadership of their churches or their assemblies, as most people like to call them, most of them are either rabbis or what we call mores, which are teachers. But we know that the word rabbi also meant master. And Yahusha plainly said that if there's anyone that follows me, then one is your master, one is your rabbi. There shouldn't be anybody that's above that, because he is the ultimate rabbi. He is the ultimate master. He is our Messiah. He is Mashiach. So that, there's a lot of debate about that. There's a lot of debate about whether people should be using the sir title or subname rabbi or more, but it doesn't really matter because we only have one. But he has placed in the body what we call under shepherds, elders. Elders are the same thing as overseers. Overseers are the same things as bishops. And in the early church, that the Apostle Paul had helped establish one of the churches in Alexandria. He set up some bishops. Some of the bishops were Clement, St. Augustine, Polycarp. Okay, these guys were known as the Apostolic Fathers, and they built churches right off the shore of Egypt, of Alexandria, Egypt, and other places, and to establish the teachings that Paul had given them, which were the teachings of Yahushua HaMashiach, or as some people say, Jesus the Christ. And from those things, we found that there were a lot of inscriptions that were missing from the Bible, the book of Enoch being one, the book of Yasher, another, book of Jubilees. There were several books that were, I would say, simultaneously left out of the theologian conversation, because the books were there. I hear a lot of people say that those books were hidden and so on like that. That's not necessarily true, because those books are there. They were there and have always been there. We have always had access to them. And that brings me to a point that a lot of people don't really like to talk about. If you want to keep a secret, just put it in a book, because people will not bother to read it, because folks they simultaneously act like they're scared of education. And the Most High has given me the most daunting task in my entire ministry. And there's a lot of things that people are talking about today that I was blessed to be able to talk about more than 10 to 12 years ago. And I'm not saying I was first. I'm not daggling my finger and I'm saying, oh, I was the first one to talk about that, because really, in all actuality, that's a silly thing to say, because this is an open spirit that Yahuwah has opened to the entire world, to those who would abide in him. So anyone has the opportunity to teach truth. It does not exclusively belong to you or a group of people or whatever. But getting back to the Hebrew Israelites, I followed a lot of the Hebrew Israelites and some of the things that they say. A lot of people look at my name and they automatically assume that I'm connected with a Hebrew Israelite camp. And that's not the case. Of course not. Kepha ben Israel is my name. And it is closely associated to who I am as far as my identity. That's why I'm named that. But I also met some Messianics, some traditional rabbis and rabbionis, if you will. Learned a lot from these people, different phases. I won't go into the different phases of teaching that I learned from these people, but I know that I was attentive to each circle, whether it was the Pentecostal crowd, whether it was the denominational crowd, or whether it was just a historical perspective crowd. I was very attentive to hear and to really deluge in the different things that were presented to me. And then the Most High, the Spirit of the Most High, which is called the Ruach, gave me a revelation and told me that I would be teaching things that no one else would be teaching. Now, recently, it came to my hearing and into my presence that there's a lot of things that I'm teaching that I don't know nothing about. I think that's the comment that was made. It might have been something else. I'm not sure. I'm just paraphrasing. I don't know, because I don't really indulge in all these negative things. So it's not really my thing. But yeah, of course, I would be talking about some things that would kind of be like extraordinary, because we're living in the time of the end. When the books are open, the books were closed. I've taught and preached on Daniel, the 12th chapter and the 4th verse, where Daniel was reading the Sefer or the Sefer. He was reading the divine book, and he was told by the divine being, Yahuwah himself, to close the book until the time of the end. So we are definitely in the time of the end. So the books are being open vastly and quickly, probably at a rate that is astronomical as to the information that is coming in. And you need teachers in this hour that have the ability of knowing how to place the word of truth in its proper position. And I'm here to tell you, the Christian church is not it. The Hebrew Israelite assemblies are not it. The Jewish synagogues are not it. He is raising up an independent charter of believers. He's taking it back to the biblical times. In the biblical times, they called themselves believers. Believers of what? Believers of the way. The way is the truth and the light. This is something that Yahusha, Jesus the Christ, came and he laid out for people. Now, it was up to the people whether they received it or not. But of course, in those times, you had some people that considered him a demonic force. Or you also had some people that saw him as the son of Yahuwah. And they followed him and they worshiped the word, because he specifically told them not to worship him. He said, worship the Father which is in heaven. So we are in that time where we're reverbing ourselves. We're tracking and we're coming back to the same nuances. There was political damage going on in those times. There was character assassination going on at that time of the leaders. And all of that stuff was an active thing. And now we're coming back. Back to that in this hour. So I'm not surprised at the attacks that come. I want somebody to hear me very specifically. I'm not exactly I used to be a social butterfly. I used to be one of those type of people that love to talk to people and so on like that. I still like to talk to people. I don't love it. I like it, but I don't love it. And I still like to be in contact and communication with people. But, I've noticed that a lot of people with the society that we live in today, it has built up a powder cake man. Men are not really men anymore, and they don't have their own. They don't stand up for their own. They're pretty much handpicked now, and they're behind, and they're known as users and abusers, especially the black men. And let's just call it like we see it. Black men are not looked at too highly. And I said this a long time ago, and I'm going to say this very strongly. And if I get backlash for this on this video, then oh well, life goes on. This is my video. I can say what I want to say. Um, the black woman has been used as the major tool against the black man. Anytime a black man excels in his destiny or propels into his purpose, there's always going to be that poison, which is a female, there to try to tear him down. I'm no different. I am no different. I have come in contact with several women on several different occasions that did not mean me any good. I did not know any better because I have been taught all of my life to respect women and to give the respect of women. And that's exactly what I've done in my entire life. And, you know, you got to know the traps of Satan, because he's sending the spirit of Delilah and the spirit of Jezebel to trap the true men of Yah. Now, I know you women are going through too, and I can't speak from the perspective of a woman because I'm not a woman. But I can speak from the perspective of a man because I am a man that has been tried and has been tested. And in several different occasions, I failed. But there are some occasions where I passed the test. And when you stand your ground and you're firm in what you believe and what you know, there's always going to be that remnant that's going to come back with the lies, with the accusations, and they put things out there on you. I'm not ashamed of anything. Okay? I'm not hiding from anybody. I'm right here on on these different platforms, so I'm barely hiding and running from anybody. If anybody ever wanted to talk to me about something, they could. I've never been talked to by anyone about my illicit lewd behavior with women because I don't have any. I've never been sat down by a group of ministers or rabbis or anybody like that and been warned and told that don't be doing things to the sisters. I've never had that ever happen to me because I've never done it. Every woman that I've ever been with, I was with them and them only. And then when I left them alone, I moved on to the next person in which I was dealing with, which is a normal occurrence. I am a single man, so I have every right to talk to somebody if I want to. If I'm interested in someone, I have to make a bid for them because the Bible says that he who finds a wife findeth a good thing. So personally, I've never had any woman come up to me and pursue me. Anybody I've ever dealt with, I pursue them myself. And some people I was really friendly with, they got the wrong idea. But I have learned how to explain to people that I am not in the business of dealing with them for whatever reason. And for whatever reason, it has been relayed to me that folks have said that I am a manipulator or that I was caught in manipulation, getting money from people. I'm a minister, people. I run a ministry, and our ministry runs off of money. So if somebody gives to our ministry, then they're giving to the ministry because they're not paying my bills. I'm a veteran of the United States Navy. So I am very well taken care of as far as my living is concerned. Nobody, no ministry money or no woman has taken care of me ever. So as a single man, even as a bishop or an apostle, whichever way you want to see me, you might not see me as any of those things. But as a man, I have the right to date. If I choose to date, I have a right to converse with people and have conversations with them and to want to be able to deal with them. That's the only way you're going to meet somebody. I don't understand the impossible standards that is put on ministers when they do things. And a lot of people get upset with me because I stand on standard and I don't let them get away with just anything. So they try to pull out little stuff and whatever. Maybe that's my fault because maybe I shouldn't be so nonchalant and playful at times. And I will admit that. But when I'm serious, I'm serious. When I'm straight down the middle, I'm straight down the middle. You know, and I'm trying to help somebody here. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm getting on here trying to plead my case, because I have nothing to prove to anybody. I don't have any explanations to give to anybody. But the Lord has placed it upon me to help somebody because they're going through similar types of situations. And ministry is tough. Ministry is a dog business where people look out for themselves and they really don't look out for the next person. They say they're in this thing for winning souls, but in all actuality, they're looking for a love offering, a paycheck, or they're looking for an opportunity to mess with as many women or as many men as possible. Because you got female dogs out here too. It's not all men. You have female dogs out here too. And it's out of the characteristics of Yahuwah. But I'm going to sum it up for you because I'm going to show you what he said in his word about that. So I'm going to go to 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy, the 4th chapter, because he talked about this. So this is not some new revelation about what people are doing. 1 Timothy, the 4th chapter, in the first verse, it says, "Now the Ruach speaks expressly that in latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing ruacheth," which means spirits, "and doctrines of devils." Verse number 2, "speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron." Verse number 3, "forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from food which Elohim has created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth." So key. Verse number 4, for every creature of Elohim is good, and nothing is to be refused, if to be received with thanksgiving, for it is sanctified by the word of Elohim and prayer. Verse number 6, "if you put your brethren in remembrance of these things, you shall be a good minister of Yahushua HaMashiach, nourished up in the words of faith and of good doctrine, whereunto ye have attained." People are going to criticize you. Let me speak indirectly to someone right now. Let me speak into your spirit this afternoon, this evening, whatever time and whatever place you're watching me today. Trouble don't last always. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. There are several people in your circle that say they wish you well, but have ill intentions in mind. There are many people that have told you, "I'm standing with you." They're with you in the good times. But when the bad comes up, they're nowhere to be found. There are many people that that are very opinionative about your circumstances that they feel that you should be in. Heck, there's people that you go to church with right now. There's some of you watching me right now that you are still in the church scene. Heaven forbid you haven't got the revelation yet that we're in the kingdom, but you're still going to church. And you still don't understand why the church is a major place of gossip and a major place of despair and bad things. Why are the people still communicating bad things? You still trying to figure that out? Well, I just read to you that in latter times people should depart from the faith. What does that tell you? People are not going to endure true, sound doctrine. They're not going to endure the truth. For you to think for 1 minute that people are going to be jumping up and down and rah rah about you and your spiritual growth because you have just found yourself, you better think again, people, because now you have become a target of the enemy. It is Hasatan, Satan, that has created confusion. Yah plainly said in his word, he is not the author of confusion. Disrespect, character assassination, character flaws, all these things that are being pointed out to you about individuals, that is not the spirit of Yahuwah. That's not his spirit. That's why I don't ascribe to the Hebrew Israelite camps, to the Messianic assemblies, or to the Christian churches. I don't ascribe to none of them, because I found them to be in error. They are exactly as the book of Galatians says they are. They have created their own Christ, their own Savior, their own Messiah, if you will. And they've set up a standard in their own way. We see it in politics every single day. Politicians taking sides, preachers taking sides with politicians. That is not biblical. Preachers taking sides with people without finding out the facts of circumstances and situations. That is not biblical. I mean, there's so many things that we do that is uncharacteristic of the God that we serve and uncharacteristic of our master, who is Yahushua HaMashiach. He's our master. And there's so many things that we do that are not characteristic of him. I've prided myself on being discreet in all of my affairs. But sometimes you have to come raw, and you have to be realistic with people and just break it down for them to understand, because they really don't understand any other language but just plain old-fashioned talk. And you've tried to dress it up. You're trying to be so ecclesiastical and mystical with it. They still try to ride it from kingdom come to kingdom till. I've never in my life met so many sensitive people when it comes down to things. Non-confrontational people that are sensitive. Let me tell you something. There's not a Hebrew Israelite leader or a Hebrew Israelite period that can question what I do, because I don't believe what you believe. There's not a Messianic walking this earth that can question what I do, because I don't believe what you believe. There's not a Christian walking this earth that can question what I do. I believe in the Bible, and I follow the instructions of the Bible. That means I'm an avid follower of the way. So I don't have anything to be ashamed of. But what I want people to understand today is that regardless of whether people put you down or whether they lift you up, beware of those that speak well of you. Beware. Understand that the apostolic and prophetic walk that is in the end time that we're living in now is a lonely walk. It's a walk of uncharted territory. You're going to see things that people do not want you to see. You got to be careful who you walking into these prayer groups with. A lot of y'all love to get in these little intercessory prayer groups, and some of these prayer groups that you guys belong to are nothing but gossip circles, where they exchange information and down people, especially those that down the men and women of the Most High. This is a common practice. Before we can present ourselves to the world, we have to clean up our own house, people. We've got to be able to clean up our own house. We've got to be able to straighten those things out that are crooked in our own house. Hello, somebody. I made a conscious decision in my life, and again, this is helping somebody. I made a conscious decision in my life, in the latter stages of my life, not to ascribe or to follow tradition, but to be different. A lot of times, being different doesn't mean that you go against the order that is set up. It's because you follow that order. That is why you're different, because it's very difficult to walk the straight and narrow. It's easy to walk in a perpendicular way when you have your own opinion. Hello, somebody. It's really easy, but it's difficult to walk in the standards of the Most High when you are walking according to His word. And then all kind of people will make opinions about that. And everyone is entitled to their opinion, but there's only one truth. Let me say that very strongly. And if you are strong in that truth, you will follow that truth. What I'm saying to you today on this prophecy talk, if you're on my channel, you're on my platform, then you're on my space. Okay. So that means that obviously you believe in what I'm teaching and preaching, or you're just being nosy so that you can be critical and try to take the hypothetical parts of what I'm saying and try to dice them up, because you're probably not intelligent enough to decipher them or to translate them. Or obviously you wouldn't be looking for flaws in it. You don't have the intelligence, you don't have the spiritual knowledge nor the spiritual revelation to even confront me with your idiocy that you have made up in your own fixation of your mind. The Bible tells us that Satan, Hasatan, comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He comes to steal the vision that is placed inside of the brain, the mind now part. He kills the purpose and the purpose and all of those things that come with it, and then eventually he destroys you. I don't know who I'm talking to on this afternoon, this evening, or whatever time you're watching me today. You are in the middle of a fixation. I personally am getting ready to go into a state, a physical letdown, because I'm getting ready to go through some tremendous physical things. I'm not going to go into detail because I'm not going to give you any ammunition to pray against. But I'm getting ready to go into a shutdown. And in this shutdown, I am going to pray that Yahuwah brings me back stronger than what I was before, because I'm ready to fight, but I'm not ready to fight you. Hello, somebody. I'm not ready to fight you because you're not worth my time in fighting. I am ready to do some kingdom fighting, some dispensational fighting. I'm ready to go into the metaphorical range and to blow the seismic cosmic atmosphere away so that we can blow into something of a astronomical miracle. Hello, somebody. It's time to come up higher. We can't stay in a simple state dealing with pettiness and dumb stupidity. There are some dumb people out there. We have to understand that some people are just plain sheep. They're not leaders, they're sheep. And all sheep are dumb. Sheep need to be led. Sheep need to be led. and because of the circumstances that we see out here, the consistency of inconsistencies, we are running into a joke. The standards of the kingdom need to be uplifted, and we need to bring it back. I'm not worried about what anyone has said falsely about me. And let me say that very correctly, because I'm not defending myself. What I am giving you is an example of how you will go through things of difficulty if you walk the straight and narrow. There will be contradictions of your ability to walk straight. And the enemy will use anyone. Do not underestimate anybody in your circle that comes smiling in your face. Because human nature has lust. Human nature has lust, and lust will bring you into the lust of power. It will bring you into the lust of things. It will bring you into the lust of the body. It's not a mistake. I'm here to reveal Satan and bust him wide open to let him know not only do I see you, but there are several of us that see you, that we're praying the prayer of rebuke upon you right now. And we're letting you know that there is no weapon that is formed against us that shall be able to prosper. Let me prophesy to somebody. You may be going through a hard time right now. There's a court situation that I see in the works with one of you, somebody here. And guess what? He has already went before you and spoke to the judge in his ear to be in your favor. There is about to be a supernatural turnaround in your case. He's going to turn the child support back to you. He's going to turn the children back to you. He is getting ready to bring all the edification of all the financial losses that you lost in your home back to you. That's what he's doing. There's somebody out there right now that's dealing with a nonsensical court situation. Let me explain myself when I say that. Nonsensical in the manner that you don't even know why you're going to court, but you're going. Well, he's getting ready to speak to the jury on your behalf. I hear the word appeal. So obviously it has already failed. But guess what? He's going to give you an appeal. And this appeal is going to be so supernatural because he's going to turn the entire situation and decision around. I don't know who I'm talking to here, but I'm prophesying to you and letting you know that he's about to turn your situation upside down. I hear plain as day, someone needs some transportation right now. I heard the Spirit of Yahuwah just tell me to let you know, go pick out what you want. Just like he asked Solomon, he said, Solomon, what do you want? He's asking you right now, what do you want? And depending on the answer that you give, it shall rectify or it shall reimburse you, and you shall have what he has called you to have. Oh my goodness. There is a miracle about to happen. I'm prophesying right now. He's about to change your situation. Everything that the naysayers have said against you. You may have cussed, you may have fussed, but Yah said, once the dust settles, I'm going to lift up a standard and raise you up. I'm going to give you the ability to stand in front of your enemies and tell them where they can go. Somebody don't like me right now because there's a power surge coming through this line right now. You ought to lift your hands up and tell the Lord thank you. You ought to praise him at this moment right now because he is definitely worthy to be praised. He has lifted you out of the miry clay of the darkness in your life. He's about to do something odd and unusual. He's about to use you in a crazy type way. If you was humble, he's about to rile you up. He's about to bring you into the face of those that hate you. But when he does that, he's going to do like he did with Elijah. He's going to bring you in front of the 400 prophets of Baal, and he's going to destroy them in your face. Oh, who am I talking to here? He's going to rectify your situation because good, what the devil meant for bad, Yah has turned it around for good. You are about to see the changes that are about to happen. And this is not going to take long, not many days hence from what I speak. So we seal it right now by the precious blood of the Lamb. And we give all honor and power to you. We come up against every demonic force that comes in witchcraft, in mysticism, in sorcery. We defeat you right now. We cast you away right now by the blood of the Lamb. Hallelujah. Your mysticism shall not work. That which was taught to man by the fallen angels shall not prevail on the created image of Yah. For we were created in his image, and we are the diadem of his heart. We are the key to his message on the earth. And we shall walk up and be proud. We will soar like eagles. We're not in the chicken head stage. We got a lot of chicken heads that want to catch up with us, but guess what? We're eagles, baby, and we're about to fly above ground. We're not about to touch the mud. We're about to go to the clouds, to the iCloud, if you will. I like that one. To the iCloud, to the resting place until the time of victory has come about. The sound of the trumpet has come, and the feast of trumpets has laid itself forward, and we shall see the dead in Yahuwah rise. The dead in Messiah shall rise in this hour, and we shall be caught up. We're going to meet him in the air. Somebody ought to get excited right now. They ought to get excited because he's doing something for you right now. I see it plain as day. I see it in my spirit, man. I see it in the gorge of my spirit right now. He's rising you up. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. He's rising you up. He's taking you to the next level of your presence that he wants you to be in. He's taking you to the power level of your presence. There is not one word. We rebuke all word curses that have come to defeat you right now, because if you feel good about you and you're following through with the plan, matters not what man does. Matters not what man does, because man has no power over you. Hallelujah. You know what? You can sow into this ministry. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, he just killed the spirit. No, I didn't kill the spirit. I just continue the spirit. You can sow into this ministry, sow into this word, because there are so many things that Yah wants to do for you. You can go to the Cash App, hit the $, type in Chief Apostle Kepha. Kepha is spelled Kepha. Or you can go to PayPal, paypal.me. / capital K, capital I, SREAL. Or you can go to Venmo at Venmo, Kepha, KEPHA / Israel, ISREAL. Sow into your future, sow into the power of prophecy, sow into the power of your destiny. This is your hour. This is your hour. I challenge you right now, if you can sow, to sow, because he's ready to do something great for you. You're not paying for a prophecy. You're not paying to activate a prophecy, but what you are doing is following biblical principle into going into reaping a harvest. It is seed time and harvest, and you want to reap the harvest that he has for you. There's still time for you to get it together. There's still time for you to walk the right way. Forget about the naysayers. Forget about the nonsensical spiritual people that have not come to the revelation of miracle for your life. They don't mean you well. And if you don't like me, that's fine. You don't have to like me, but love the Most High. Love Yahuwah, because I'm only a man, but he is the entity of all creation. He is the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. He is the Alpha and the Tef. Come on, somebody. He is there for you when you least expect him to be there. He's there for you. Oh, I feel good about that. There's going to be enemies. There's going to be differences. There's going to be circumstances. And if you can't handle that little bit, then you ain't prepared for this thing. Come on, somebody. Because he's ready to do something for you that's supernaturally uncharacteristic, that no one could ever imagine. No one could ever imagine the things that he's going to do for you. Ears have not heard, eyes have not seen, yet has it entered into your heart what he's going to do. That's why I'm proud to stand alone. I'm proud to stand in the stead of his blessing. I'm proud to stand in the stead of his judgment and his prophecy. I am proud to be one of those that he has counted worthy of the honor. Hallelujah. Prophecy Talk is sponsored by Kingdom Building Institute and Kepha Ben Israel Ministries. I'm Dr. Kepha Ben Israel, Archbishop in our Lord's Church, Chief Apostle and Major Prophet into the body of Messiah, thanking you for joining us here this evening, because the best is yet to come. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning, and you still have a miracle waiting for you on the other side. Remember, it's nice to be loved by somebody that loves you. I'm going to leave you alone and say good night to you, or good day to you, whatever time you're watching me. And remember that pressure comes that your miracle may manifest. I'm Dr. Kepha Ben Israel signing off and saying shalom.